Her body collided with the small girl's frame, knocking them both to the hot pavement as chaos erupted around the ice cream stand. The child's strawberry cone exploded across the sidewalk in a pink splatter, and Sarah felt the little body trembling beneath her as screams filled Boston's North End. "Stay down," Sarah whispered fiercely, covering the girl's dark curls with her arms. "Don't move, sweetheart. Don't move." More shots, the squeal of tires. Sarah's heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. She'd only stopped for coffee on her way to her second shift at the diner. She'd only smiled at this beautiful little girl with chocolate eyes who'd been reaching for her mother's hand. And now, the shooting stopped as suddenly as it started. Sarah's ears rang in the sudden quiet. Slowly, carefully, she lifted her head. The black SUV was gone. People were crying, pulling out phones, running. The girl's ice cream vendor had ducked behind his cart, his face gray with shock. But the little girl's mother was nowhere to be seen. "Mama?" The child's voice was so small, so frightened. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. "Where's my mama?" Sarah's stomach dropped. She sat up, keeping the girl close, scanning the crowd with growing dread. The woman in the elegant cream dress who'd been standing right here 30 seconds ago had vanished. "It's okay," Sarah said, even though nothing was okay. Her hands were shaking. "We'll find her." "What's your name, honey?" "Isabella." The little girl's chin wobbled. "Those were bad men. Mama said if bad men ever came, I should run, but I didn't. Shh, you did perfect. You're so brave." Sarah smoothed the child's hair, her mind racing. She needed to call the police. She needed to. "Isabella!" The roar came from behind them, deep and commanding, and edged with something that made Sarah's blood run cold. She turned, still kneeling, still shielding the little girl. The man striding toward them looked like he'd stepped out of a nightmare, or a very specific kind of fantasy that Sarah would never admit to having. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the lethal grace of a predator. His tailored black suit probably cost more than Sarah made in 6 months. Dark hair swept back from a face that was all sharp angles and harder edges, except for his eyes. His eyes were the same warm brown as Isabella's, and they were filled with terror. "Papa!" Isabella scrambled out of Sarah's arms and ran. The man dropped to one knee and caught her, crushing her against his chest. His eyes squeezed shut. "Mia piccola," he breathed. "Mia bambina. Are you hurt? Did they touch you?" "No, Papa. The lady saved me. She pushed me down and covered me and—" Those eyes snapped to Sarah. She was still kneeling on the pavement, her khaki work pants probably ruined, her white blouse smudged with strawberry ice cream and God knew what else. She must look like a mess. She felt like a mess. Her whole body was starting to shake now that the adrenaline was fading. The man stood, lifting Isabella with him like she weighed nothing. He was even more imposing upright. At least 6'3", maybe taller. And the way he looked at Sarah, it wasn't gratitude. Not exactly. It was assessment. Calculation. The look of someone deciding whether she was a threat or an asset. "You protected my daughter." His voice was dark velvet over steel. East Coast accent, but something else underneath. Italian, maybe. "Anyone would have done the same," Sarah managed. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "No. Flat. Certain. They wouldn't have." He glanced around the street where police sirens were finally wailing closer. His jaw tightened. Then he looked back at Sarah, and something shifted in his expression. "What's your name?" "Sarah. Sarah Mitchell." She didn't know why she was answering. Something about his presence demanded truth. "Sarah Mitchell." He repeated it like he was committing it to memory. "You probably just saved my daughter's life." Don't." The word was sharp. "Don't diminish what you did." "Isabella." He pressed a kiss to his daughter's hair. "Can you describe the lady to me, so I remember her?" Isabella twisted in his arms to look at Sarah. "She has pretty eyes, like the sky, and yellow hair that's kind of messy, and she smells like coffee. Despite everything, Sarah felt her lips twitch. I spilled some on myself this morning. The corner of the man's mouth moved. It wasn't quite a smile, but it was something. I'm Luca Romano, and I owe you a debt. Romano. The name rang a bell, distant but insistent. Sarah frowned, trying to place it, but then the police were there, and everything became questions and statements and chaos of a different kind. Through it all, Luca Romano stayed close. Too close. Sarah was aware of him like she'd be aware of a panther in a room. Beautiful, dangerous, impossible to ignore. He answered the police in clipped sentences, his arm never leaving his daughter. But his eyes kept finding Sarah. Miss Mitchell will need protection, he told the detective, a tired-looking man with gray at his temples who seemed to know exactly who Luca was. Mr. Romano, I don't think it wasn't a suggestion, Detective Brennan. Luca's voice dropped to something deadly quiet. She's a witness. More than that, she's someone they might view as important to me now. You know what that means. The detective's face went carefully blank. We can offer protective custody. Your protective custody is garbage, and we both know it. Luca shifted Isabella higher on his hip. The little girl had her face buried in his neck now, finally crying in quiet, hiccuping sobs. I'll handle it. Sir, I really can't allow... Can't allow? Luca's laugh was bitter. Detective, when have you ever been able to stop me from doing anything? Sarah found her voice. Excuse me, but what are you talking about? I don't need protection. I just need to get to work. Both men looked at her like she'd grown a second head. Miss Mitchell, Detective Brennan said carefully, do you know who Luca Romano is? The way he said it made Sarah's stomach drop. Should I? Luca made a sound that might have been amusement under different circumstances. Innocent, he murmured. Completely innocent. He looked at the detective. We're done here. Send any further questions through my lawyer. Mr. Romano, I said we're done. Luca turned to Sarah. You're coming with me. I absolutely am not. Sarah took a step back. I don't know what's going on here, but I have to get to work. My shift starts in 20 minutes and I'm already going to be late, and Mrs. Chen will have my head. Mrs. Chen will understand when you don't show up. Luca closed the distance between them in one fluid stride. Because you won't be going back to that diner. Not today. Not until this is handled. You can't just... Can't I? He raised an eyebrow. The arrogance should have been off-putting. Somehow it wasn't. Sarah Mitchell, 27 years old, working 2 jobs to make rent on a studio apartment in Southie. You walk to work because you can't afford the tea most days. Your one missed paycheck from eviction. Sarah's blood went cold. How do you... I know everything I need to know. His voice softened, just slightly. And right now, what I know is that you put yourself between my daughter and bullets without hesitation. That makes you either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. Maybe both, Sarah whispered. Maybe. His eyes held hers. But it also makes you mine to protect now, whether you like it or not. I'm not yours. I'm not anyone's. Something flashed in his eyes. Approval, maybe. We'll see. Before Sarah could respond, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. Not the same one from the shooting. This one was longer, more expensive looking. A man in a dark suit got out and opened the rear door. Papa, I want to go home. Isabella's small voice was muffled against Luca's shoulder. I know, Tesoro. We're going now. Luca looked at Sarah. Get in the car. I'm not getting in your car. Sarah. He said her name like a caress and a command at once. Those men who shot at my daughter, they saw you cover her. They saw you protect what's mine. Do you understand what that means? She didn't. Not really. But the look in his eyes told her she should be afraid. In my world, Luca continued, his voice low enough that only she could hear, loyalty is currency. And you just showed loyalty to my family. That makes you valuable. And valuable things get targeted. Your world? Sarah's laugh was slightly hysterical. I don't even know what your world is. Detective Brennan cleared his throat. Miss Mitchell, for what it's worth, he's right. If this was Marchetti family retaliation, he shot Luca a meaningful look. Then you're safer with Romano than in your apartment. Marchetti. Romano. The names clicked together in Sarah's mind like puzzle pieces, forming a picture she didn't want to see. Oh my God, she breathed. You're Mafia. Luca's expression didn't change. I prefer entrepreneur. You're actually... Sarah looked at Isabella, sweet Isabella, with her chocolate eyes and tear-stained cheeks, and something inside her chest twisted. Your daughter is everything to me, Luca finished, which is why I will do whatever it takes to ensure her safety. And now, unfortunately for you, that includes ensuring yours. Sarah wanted to argue, wanted to run, wanted to wake up from whatever insane dream this was. But Isabella was looking at her with such trust, such hope, and Sarah had never been good at walking away from children who needed her. Fine, she heard herself say, but just for today. Just until you're sure there's no danger. Luca's smile was slow and predatory and made Sarah's knees weak. Of course, he said. Just for today. He was lying. She knew he was lying. She got in the car anyway. The Romano estate was not what Sarah expected. She'd imagined something dark and fortress-like, all stone walls and armed guards. Instead, the car wound up a tree-lined drive to a sprawling Mediterranean-style villa that looked like it belonged on the Italian coast, not in the Massachusetts suburbs. Gardens bloomed in riotous color. A fountain played in the circular drive. It was beautiful. It was also definitely surrounded by armed guards, but they were discreet about it. Home, baby girl, Luca murmured to Isabella as the car stopped. Let's get you cleaned up and fed. You must be hungry. I want Sarah to come too, Isabella said immediately, reaching for Sarah's hand. Please, Papa. She has to come. Luca's eyes met Sarah's over his daughter's head. There was something unreadable in them. Of course she's coming, he said. Sarah is our guest. Guest. Right. That's definitely what she was. Inside, the house was even more beautiful. All honey-colored stone and arched doorways, and art that Sarah suspected was probably worth more than her entire neighborhood. A woman in her 60s rushed to meet them, her face creased with worry. Mr. Luca, Madonna, we heard... Is she hurt? Is my baby hurt? She's fine, Celia. Thanks to Miss Mitchell. Luca set Isabella down, and the little girl immediately hugged the older woman. Can you take her upstairs? Bath and food, please. Of course. Of course. Celia fussed over Isabella, checking her for injuries with gentle hands. Then she looked at Sarah. And who is this? Sarah Mitchell. She'll be staying with us. Staying? Sarah started. I didn't agree to... We'll discuss it, Luca said smoothly. After I make some calls. Celia, can you show Miss Mitchell to the blue guest room? Get her anything she needs. Wait, Sarah said. I really can't stay here. This is crazy. I barely know you. I don't know you. And I have work and... Luca turned to face her fully, and the intensity of his focus stole her breath. You saved my daughter's life, he said quietly. Everything else is details. Then he walked away, pulling out his phone, leaving Sarah standing in the grand foyer, feeling like she'd just been swept up in a hurricane. Come, dear, Celia said kindly. You look like you could use a cup of tea and a moment to breathe. Mr. Luca can be overwhelming when he sets his mind to something. That was the understatement of the century. Sarah followed Celia up a curved staircase, down a hallway hung with paintings, to a bedroom that was larger than her entire studio apartment. The walls were pale blue, the furniture white and elegant. French doors opened onto a balcony overlooking the gardens. There's a bathroom through there, Celia said. I'll bring you some clean clothes. You look about the same size as—" She stopped, her face going sad. "Well, I'll find something." "Thank you," Sarah managed. "But really, I can't impose. I'll just—" "You'll stay," Celia said firmly, "because Mr. Lucas says you will, and what Mr. Lucas says in this house is law. But also," her eyes softened, "because you protected Isabella. That little girl is the light of this house. We all love her. And anyone who would throw themselves in front of bullets for her is family, as far as I'm concerned." Sarah's throat tightened. "I just did what anyone would do." "No, child, you didn't." Celia patted her hand. "Rest. I'll bring tea." Alone in the beautiful blue room, Sarah finally let herself sink onto the bed and shake. What had she done? She'd protected a child. That was all. That was everything. But in doing so, she'd thrown herself into a world she didn't understand, into the orbit of a man who looked at her like she was a problem to be solved, or a possession to be claimed. She should call someone. She should leave. She did neither. Instead, she walked to the French doors and looked out at the gardens, at the high walls beyond them, at the shadows of men moving in patterns that suggested surveillance. She was in a cage, a beautiful, luxurious cage, and the man who'd locked her in terrified her almost as much as he fascinated her. Sarah must have dozed off because she woke to the sound of small feet pattering across the floor. "Sarah?" Isabella's whisper was loud in the quiet room. "Are you awake?" Sarah sat up, disoriented. The sun was lower now, late afternoon. She'd slept for hours. "Isabella, shouldn't you be—" "Celia said I could visit if I was quiet." Isabella climbed onto the bed with the confidence of a child used to being welcomed. She was clean now, wearing pink pajamas, her dark curls still damp. "I wanted to make sure you were okay, and that you didn't leave." "I'm okay." Sarah's heart squeezed. "Are you okay?" "That must have been really scary." Isabella nodded seriously. "Papa says bad men want to hurt him, so sometimes they try to hurt me instead, because he loves me most in the whole world." The casual way she said it broke Sarah's heart. "That's not fair to you," Sarah said quietly. "I know." Isabella picked at the embroidered duvet. "Mama said the same thing, before she left." Sarah froze. "Your mama left?" "Last year. She said she couldn't live in Papa's world anymore. She said it was too dangerous and too dark, and she was sorry, but she had to go." Isabella's voice was matter-of-fact, but her eyes were too old. "She calls sometimes, on my birthday. But mostly it's just me and Papa and Celia and all the guards." "Oh, this poor child." "I'm sorry," Sarah whispered. "That must be so hard." Isabella shrugged. "Papa says some people aren't strong enough for this life, but he says I am. And today, you were strong too. You were so brave. So were you." "Papa wants to marry you," Isabella announced, completely changing the subject. Sarah choked on air. "What?" "He told Uncle Marco on the phone. I heard him. He said you were perfect, and brave, and innocent, and exactly what we needed, and he was going to make you his wife. That's not—" Sarah's face was on fire. "Honey, your dad doesn't even know me. He can't marry someone he just met. Papa says when you know, you know." Isabella tilted her head. "Do you think I'm pretty enough to be a flower girl? I've always wanted to be a flower girl." Sarah's head was spinning. "Isabella, your father is not going to marry me. That's crazy." "Papa doesn't do crazy things. He does smart things." Isabella said it with such certainty. "And keeping you here is smart, because you're good, and the bad men will want to hurt good people who Papa likes." The simplicity of it was chilling. "I can't stay here forever," Sarah said. "Why not?" Isabella blinked at her. "Don't you like it here? We have a pool, and horses, and Celia makes the best pasta, and Papa's really nice when you get to know him. He reads me stories every night, and he lets me paint his nails sometimes, and—" "Your father lets you paint his nails?" "Only when we're home," Isabella said seriously. He says it's not good for his reputation if his men see him with sparkly purple fingers. Despite everything, Sarah felt a smile tugging at her mouth. The image of Luca Romano, terrifying Mafia boss, sitting still while his daughter painted his nails was absurdly endearing. He sounds like a good dad. The best dad. No hesitation. That's why I need a mom who's just as good. And you're good. You covered me even though you didn't know me. Even though it was scary. Oh, sweetheart. Sarah pulled Isabella into a hug. You deserve everything wonderful, but marriage doesn't work like that. People need to know each other and love each other, and Papa says love is for children and fools, Isabella said into Sarah's shoulder. He says respect and loyalty are what matter. And you already showed loyalty. Sarah didn't know what to say to that. A knock on the door saved her from having to answer. Isabella. Luca's voice, firm but not unkind. Stop bothering our guest. I'm not bothering her. We're talking about the wedding. Sarah wanted to die. The door opened and Luca filled the frame, still in his suit, but with his tie loosened and his sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. He looked exhausted and dangerous and... Sarah forced herself to stop looking. Bellissima, you weren't supposed to tell her that part yet. Yet? Papa! Isabella bounced on the bed. You said I could help plan. And you will. But first we need to make sure Sarah understands the situation. He looked at Sarah, and something in his eyes made her mouth go dry. Can I speak with you? Alone? It wasn't really a question. Isabella kissed Sarah's cheek. When had they gotten that comfortable? And scampered out of the room, leaving Sarah alone with the man who apparently wanted to marry her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Luca moved into the room, closing the door behind him. Not all the way. Propriety, maybe. Or maybe just an acknowledgement that trapping her would be a bad idea. You heard the detective mention the Marchetti family, he said. Yes. They're rivals, old enemies. There's been peace for the last 3 years, but it's fragile. He moved to the window, looking out at his gardens. Today's attack was a message. They want war. I'm sorry, Sarah said, because what else could she say? Don't be sorry. Be smart. He turned to face her. You're in danger now. You protected my daughter in front of witnesses. In my world, that makes you significant. It makes you a target. So you keep saying, but I'm nobody. You're not nobody. His voice was sharp. Not anymore. The moment you covered Isabella, you became somebody. And the Marchettis will see you as leverage against me. Sarah's stomach churned. What are you saying? I'm saying you have 2 choices. He crossed his arms. 1, I provide you with round-the-clock protection. Guards, safe houses, a complete disruption of your life until this war is over, which could be months, maybe years. Or, his eyes locked on hers, or you marry me. The words hung in the air between them like something solid. You're insane, Sarah breathed. I'm practical. He moved closer, and Sarah had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. As my wife, you'd have the full protection of the Romano family. No one would touch you. You'd be untouchable. I'd also be married to a stranger. For now, but something flickered in his expression. I take care of what's mine, Sarah, and I'm very good at it. You'd want for nothing. Safety, security, anything you needed. Except freedom. Is freedom working out well for you? He gestured at her stained work clothes, which Celia had laid out for cleaning. 2 jobs, barely making rent. 1 emergency from financial ruin? That's not freedom. That's survival. I'm offering you better. By forcing me into marriage. I'm not forcing anything. His jaw tightened. If you want to walk out that door right now, I'll have someone drive you home. But I can't guarantee your safety once you're gone. And I won't be responsible for what happens to you. It was manipulation. It was absolutely manipulation. It was also probably true. Why? Sarah demanded. Why marriage? Why not just protection? For the first time, Luca hesitated. Because Isabella needs a mother, he said finally. And in the 5 hours you've been in this house, she's talked about you more than she's talked about anything in months. She likes you. She trusts you. That's rare. So this is about your daughter. Everything I do is about my daughter. He stepped closer still. But it's not just that. You threw yourself over a child you didn't know. You didn't hesitate. You didn't calculate the risk. You just acted. That tells me something about who you are. It tells you I'm reckless. It tells me you're loyal, brave, protective. His hand came up, hovering near her face but not quite touching. It tells me you're exactly the kind of person I want in my family. In my life. Sarah's heart was hammering. You don't know me. I know enough. And the rest. His lips curved slightly. We have a lifetime to learn. This is crazy. Yes. I barely know you. True. I don't love you. Not yet. His confidence should have been infuriating. It was, but it was also magnetic. But respect, loyalty, partnership, those can grow into something more. And those are better foundations than romance anyway. Sarah shook her head, trying to clear it. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow morning. He finally touched her then, just his fingers under her chin, tilting her face up. But Sarah, think carefully. Because the Marchettis move fast. And I'd rather you were mine before they decide to make you theirs. The possessiveness in his voice should have terrified her. Instead, it sent heat racing through her veins. He left her there, in the blue room with the French doors and the view of the gardens, with an impossible choice and a racing heart. Marry a man she barely knew, or take her chances with the people who'd already tried to kill a 6-year-old child. Some choice. Sarah didn't sleep that night. She paced the blue room, wore a path in the carpet, watched the moon rise over the gardens. Guards moved in the darkness below. This was her life now, if she stayed. Protected. Confined. Claimed. But also safe. And there was Isabella to think about. Sweet Isabella, who'd already lost her mother, who looked at Sarah with such hope. Could she really walk away from that? Morning came too soon. Sarah showered in the marble bathroom, dressed in the clothes Celia had left, designer jeans that fit perfectly, and a soft cashmere sweater that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Everything in this world was expensive and beautiful and dangerous. She was staring at herself in the mirror, trying to find courage, when someone knocked. "Come in," she called. It was Isabella, still in pajamas, her hair a wild cloud around her face. "Did you decide?" she asked without preamble. "Are you going to marry Papa?" "Isabella, because I really hope you do." The little girl's voice wavered. "I know it's selfish, but I really, really hope you do. I like you, and Papa likes you, and we could be a family, a real family." Sarah's heart cracked clean open. She knelt down to Isabella's level. "Can I tell you a secret?" Isabella nodded, eyes wide. "I'm scared," Sarah whispered. "I'm really, really scared. Of Papa. Of everything, of this world. Of making the wrong choice. Of—" She stopped. She couldn't say of getting hurt to a child who'd already experienced so much pain. Isabella threw her arms around Sarah's neck. "It's okay to be scared," she said. "Papa says being brave means being scared and doing it anyway. That's what you did yesterday. You were scared, but you saved me anyway." Out of the mouths of babes. "You're very wise," Sarah said against her hair. "I know." Isabella pulled back with a watery smile. "So will you? Please? I promise I'll be good, and I won't ask for too many things, and— Oh, baby, that's not— Sarah cupped her face. "If I did this, it wouldn't be because of what you offer me. It would be because she was already in too deep. Because this child had worked her way into Sarah's heart with devastating efficiency. Because the thought of walking away from her felt wrong. And maybe, Because Luca Romano looked at her like she was something precious and terrifying at once, like she was a problem and a solution, like she mattered. When had anyone ever looked at her like she mattered? "I need to talk to your father," Sarah said. Isabella squealed and hugged her again. I'll get him right now." She ran out before Sarah could stop her, leaving Sarah kneeling on the floor of the beautiful blue room, wondering if she was about to make the best or worst decision of her life. Maybe both. Luca appeared minutes later, and he must have been nearby because his hair was damp from a shower, and he smelled like expensive soap and something darker, more him. He'd traded the suit for dark slacks and a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking somehow both more approachable and more dangerous. "Isabella said you wanted to talk," he said carefully. Sarah stood. Her knees were shaking. "I have conditions." Something flashed in his eyes, surprise, respect. Maybe both. "Name them." "Isabella comes first, always. This marriage might be for protection, for appearances, for whatever. But she doesn't get hurt by it. She doesn't feel used or confused or secondary." "Agreed. Next." "I'm not a prisoner. I might be your wife, but I'm not property. I have freedom to move, to choose, to—" "Within reason," Luca interrupted. "I won't lock you up, but I also won't let you take stupid risks. Your safety and Isabella's are non-negotiable. Fair, terrifying, but fair." "Okay, and—" Sarah took a breath. "I want this to be real. Not love, I know that's asking too much, but respect, partnership. If I'm gonna do this, I want you to actually see me as your wife, not just as a convenient solution to a problem." Luca crossed the space between them in 2 strides. He took her hand, and his palm was warm and calloused and strong. "Sarah Mitchell," he said quietly, "I have never in my life done anything convenient, and I sure as hell don't make life-altering decisions on a whim." "Then why?" "Because yesterday I watched you throw yourself over my daughter without a second thought. Because last night Isabella spent an hour telling me about your conversation, about how you made her feel safe. Because when I picture my future, I want someone brave enough to face bullets and smart enough to negotiate terms standing beside me." He raised her hand to his lips, and the kiss he pressed to her knuckles was feather-light, but burned. "This is real," he said against her skin. "It might not be conventional. It might have started in chaos. But I don't do anything halfway. If you become my wife, you become my partner, my equal, the person I trust with my daughter and my life." "That's a lot of pressure," Sarah whispered. "Yes." He didn't soften it. "This life is pressure. It's danger and decisions and darkness, but it's also family, loyalty, protection. And I swear to you," his eyes held hers, "I will never let anyone hurt you. I will give you everything you need and most of what you want, and I will spend every day earning the trust you're giving me." It wasn't a declaration of love. It was better. It was real. Sarah's hand trembled in his. "Okay. Okay? Okay," she said it stronger. "I'll marry you." The smile that crossed his face was like sunrise, slow and devastating, and beautiful. "Then we do this right," he said. "Not some courthouse quickie. A real wedding. You deserve that." "Luca, I don't need—" "I know what you need, but I also know what I want." He pulled her closer until she had to crane her neck to see his face. "I want everyone to see you walk down an aisle to me. I want them to see me claim you in front of God and family. I want there to be no doubt that you're mine and I'm yours." The possessiveness should have alarmed her. It didn't. "How soon?" she asked. 1 week, maybe 2. Long enough to do it properly, but not long enough for the Marchettis to make a move. His thumb stroked over her knuckles. "Can you handle that?" Could she handle planning a wedding in 2 weeks to a man she'd met yesterday? "I've handled worse," Sarah said. Luca laughed, and the sound was rich and genuine and made something warm bloom in her chest. "Yes," he agreed. "Yes, you have." Then he kissed her forehead, gentle and claiming at once, and Sarah let her eyes fall closed and wondered if she was making a deal with the devil or finding salvation. Time would tell. The next 10 days were a whirlwind. Celia took charge of the wedding planning with the efficiency of a general marshalling troops. The ceremony would be at the estate, in the gardens, intimate but elegant. Sarah tried to protest the expense, the flowers, the food, the designer dress that probably cost more than her car, but Luca shut her down with a look. "You're marrying into the Romano family," he said. "This wedding is a statement. Let me make it." So Sarah let herself be swept up in it, let herself be measured for a gown of ivory lace and silk that made her look like someone else, someone elegant and worthy. Let herself choose flowers and cake flavors and approve guest lists full of names she didn't recognize. And through it all, Luca was there. Not hovering, but present. He'd appear at dinner and ask about her day. He'd find her in the library and sit beside her in comfortable silence. He'd kiss her forehead before bed, gentle and proprietary, until Sarah started looking forward to it. Isabella was overjoyed. She appointed herself junior wedding planner and took the role seriously, debating the merits of rose petals versus flower petals for her basket with the gravity of a world leader. "Pink roses," she declared one afternoon as Sarah tried on shoes, "because pink is romantic and roses mean love, and even though Papa says love isn't important, I think maybe he's wrong about you." Sarah's heart squeezed. "Oh? He looks at you different." Isabella tilted her head. "Like how he looks at me. Like you're special. Like you matter most." Before Sarah could respond, Luca appeared in the doorway. "Spy," he said to his daughter, but his tone was affectionate. "Give us a minute?" Isabella skipped out, and Sarah was left alone with her soon-to-be husband. "She's perceptive," Luca said, moving into the room. "She's wonderful." "She is." He stopped in front of Sarah. "How are you holding up?" "Honestly, I keep expecting to wake up. This is real." His hand came up to cup her face. "In 3 days, you'll be my wife. Are you ready for that?" Was she? She barely knew. But when he touched her like this, when he looked at her like she was something precious. "Yes," Sarah said. "I think I am." "Good." He leaned in, and for a heart-stopping moment Sarah thought he was going to kiss her, really kiss her. But he stopped just shy of her mouth, his breath warm against her lips. "Because I'm not letting you go now." Then he pulled back, leaving Sarah dizzy and aching and counting the hours until the wedding. The day of the wedding dawned clear and beautiful. Sarah woke in the blue room, her room, she'd started thinking of it, to sunshine streaming through the French doors and Celia bustling in with coffee and pastries. "Your last morning as a single woman," Celia said with a smile. "How do you feel?" "Terrified," Sarah admitted. "Good, that means you're taking it seriously." Celia set the tray down. "Mr. Luca is the same. He's been pacing since dawn." "He's nervous?" "He's hopeful." Celia's eyes were kind. "He hasn't been hopeful in a long time. You're good for him. For both of them." The next hours passed in a blur. Hair and makeup, the dress that fit like a dream. Isabella bursting in wearing her flower girl dress and demanding to help with Sarah's veil. It was chaos and beauty, and before Sarah could catch her breath, it was time. The gardens had been transformed. White chairs lined a makeshift aisle scattered with rose petals. Lights were strung in the trees, ready for evening, and at the end of the aisle, standing beneath an arch woven with flowers, was Luca. He wore a black tuxedo that made him look like sin personified, and when he saw Sarah, his expression, it stole her breath. Wonder, possession, something that looked almost like reverence. The music started. Isabella went first, taking her role seriously, scattering petals with careful precision. Then it was Sarah's turn. She walked alone, no father to give her away, but that was okay. She'd always done things on her own terms. Until now. Now she was choosing to let someone in. Luca's eyes never left hers as she approached, and when she reached him, when he took her hands, his grip was strong and steady. "You're beautiful," he murmured, too low for anyone else to hear. "Terrifyingly beautiful." "You're not so bad yourself," Sarah whispered back. The ceremony was short, traditional. They spoke vows that felt both surreal and profound. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," Luca cupped Sarah's face in both hands and kissed her like he was claiming her soul. It was supposed to be for show, for the guests. But the way his hands trembled slightly, the way he kissed her like she was oxygen and he was drowning, that was real. When they finally broke apart, the guests were cheering. Isabella was bouncing and clapping, and Sarah was married. To a Mafia boss. To a man who looked at her like she'd hung the moon. To Luca Romano. The reception was a blur of congratulations and food and dancing. Luca kept her close, his hand at the small of her back, introducing her to people whose names she'd never remember. Everyone was polite, respectful. Some looked genuinely happy for them. Others looked calculating. "Ignore them," Luca said when he caught her watching a group of older men in expensive suits. "They're trying to figure out if this changes power dynamics. Let them wonder." "Does it?" Sarah asked. "Change things?" "Yes." He spun her on the dance floor and his hand tightened on her waist. "You're my wife now. That makes you protected, powerful, dangerous to cross." "I'm not dangerous." "You are." His eyes were intense. "Because I will burn the world for you. And everyone here knows it." The possessiveness should have scared her. Instead, it made heat pool in her belly. "Luca! Papa! Sarah!" Isabella crashed into them, flower petals still in her hair. "This is the best wedding ever. Can we have cake now?" The moment broke. Luca laughed and scooped up his daughter. "Cake for the princess." "What do you think, Mrs. Romano? Should we indulge her?" Mrs. Romano. The name sent a thrill through Sarah. "I think cake is mandatory," she said. They cut the cake together, Luca's hand over hers on the knife. They fed each other bites, and his eyes held hers with an intensity that made her forget they had an audience. Isabella got frosting on her nose and declared it delicious. It was perfect, surreal and overwhelming and perfect. As the sun set and the lights came on in the trees, Luca pulled Sarah away from the crowd, into a quiet corner of the garden. "I have something for you," he said. "You've already given me everything. The dress, the wedding. This is different." He pulled out a small box. Not a ring box. They'd already exchanged rings. Something else. Inside was a key. "To the house?" Sarah guessed. "To my study." His expression was serious. "It's where I keep everything important. Business records, family documents, everything that matters. No one has access to that room except me. Luca, I don't need... And now you," he finished, "because you're my wife, my partner. And I meant what I said about trust." Sarah's throat tightened. That's a lot of trust." "You earned it." He closed her hand around the key. "The moment you covered Isabella. But you've been earning it every day since. The way you've handled this world, this life. The way you've let Isabella love you. The way you've..." He stopped, swallowed. "The way you've let me care for you." "Luca," she stepped closer. "I think I might be falling for you." His breath caught. "You think?" "I know." It was terrifying to say. "I know I am." "This wasn't supposed to be real, but it is. You're real. And He kissed her before she could finish. Kissed her like she was everything. Like the garden and the guests and the world didn't exist. Just them. Just this moment. Just the impossible connection that had formed from bullets and bravery and choosing each other. When they finally broke apart, his forehead rested against hers. "I'm falling too," he whispered. harder than I ever thought possible. You've undone me, Sarah Romano. Romano. Her new name. Her new life. Good, she said. Because you've undone me too. In the distance, someone called for them. The party was waiting. But for this moment, they stayed here, in their quiet corner, holding each other. Sarah had thrown herself over a stranger's child 10 days ago. Now she was married to that child's father. Protected by him, falling in love with him. It was insane. It was perfect. It was hers. Come on, Luca said finally, taking her hand. Let's go back to our wedding. Our family is waiting. Our family. Sarah let him lead her back into the lights and music, into her new life, with a full heart and no regrets. She'd been scared when she agreed to this. Scared of the danger, the uncertainty, the impossibility of it all. But as Luca spun her onto the dance floor again, as Isabella laughed from where Celia was giving her a third piece of cake, as the Romano family welcomed her with warmth and respect, Sarah wasn't scared anymore. She was home. Later that night, after the guests had left and Isabella had been tucked into bed with promises that Sarah wasn't going anywhere, Luca walked Sarah to their bedroom. Their bedroom. Because she'd moved her things from the blue room that afternoon. You don't have to, Luca started. I know this was sudden. If you need time, if you want your own space. Sarah put her finger to his lips. I'm your wife. For real. Remember? For real, he echoed. She stood on tiptoe and kissed him. Soft at first, then deeper. Claiming him the way he'd been claiming her all day. When she pulled back, his eyes were dark with want. Sarah, I'm sure, she said. I'm terrified and overwhelmed and probably insane, but I'm sure. He swept her up in his arms, making her laugh, and carried her over the threshold of their bedroom like something out of a fairy tale. Except this was better than a fairy tale, because it was real. Complicated and dangerous, and beautiful and real. And as Luca laid her down on their bed, as he worshipped her with kisses and whispered promises, as she gave herself to him completely, Sarah knew she'd made the right choice. She'd thrown herself over his daughter during a shooting. He'd made her his wife, his partner, his equal. And somehow, impossibly, they'd found love in the chaos. Forever started now.